Today I'm here to talk about your dreams. Some people don't have dreams, and for me that's a pretty sad thing. I personally am somewhat defined by my dreams, and my dreams are not the dreams of being discovered by someone else. You know, that great novel that I am yet to write. I don't want to write the great novel because I want other people to read it. I want to write the great novel because it's a dream of mine. And once I've written, well, the great novel, actually I just want to write a story that I have inside me. And then I have many more, and I want to do more. These are, though that's a dream, and it's a dream that I own myself. And you have to be somewhat realistic about your dreams. Realistic is in that you still have to be able to pay rent, that you still have to be able to live your life and eat food and that sort of thing. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to, that you don't take risk. That doesn't mean that you don't live in your office for a little while. That doesn't mean that you don't live in your car for a little while. That doesn't mean that you give up on those dreams because it's hard and because it's difficult. Yes, dreams are hard and difficult. But in being realistic about your dreams, you never ever give up on them. You never believe that you're going to fail. A dream will always stay there, and you never know when it's going to get its chance. A bit like they say, love the one you're with. Don't love the one you're with. Don't be with somebody if they're not right. Wait until you find the right one, or you might miss the chance to be with the right one. I was asked the question the other day by a friend of mine about currently we have this whole issue with perception of religion in the country I'm living in the United States. The current president is doing a travel ban, and I was asked the question by somebody that they said that they have this whole pile of hatred in their heart for the problems coming out of the Middle East. They obviously, this opinion comes from a lot of fear, and they are worried about the fact that the Middle East has always been this hotbed of problems, and well, shouldn't we just go in there and flatten the whole thing and be done with it? Well, first and foremost, I'd like to say that practically that is a very, very dumb decision. It doesn't really work. I believe there's something like 180 million Muslims that live in Indonesia, and while those Muslims may be considered moderate to many, if you were to come and say go to an area where my ideology happens to be from and wipe it out, well, and I saw that being done by the world, what do you think my retribution would be if I started out a moderate? Well, I wouldn't probably be too moderate after that. So just to say, you cannot just wipe out ideologies you do not like. However, there is also the other thing, which is that is not the world I want to live in. And that is one of my biggest dreams, and maybe one of my most impossible dreams. However, I will not give up on that dream, and I will live the way that I believe I should live so that that dream is possible. You cannot live with hatred and fear in your heart. It will eat you away, and it will grind away, and it will slowly destroy you, and it will come out of you, and you will slowly alienate and destroy those around you, both your friends, your family, your community, and the greater world as a whole. So you can't hold these things in. Am I saying that the problems in the Middle East, the problems in North Korea, the problems that exist in the United States at the moment, what the F is going on? Am I saying that those problems don't exist? No, I am not saying that they don't exist. However, from a very simple standpoint, I was in the supermarket yesterday, in the supermarket parking lot, and I was walking into the supermarket with my little boy, and a woman came around the corner in the supermarket, and I was crossing the road, and we crossed paths, and she put on the brakes and gave me a big smile and a wave, and we moved on. Now, that could have been any woman. However, this woman happened to be a Muslim woman. She had the head wrap on, and obviously still showing her whole face, which is how I saw the smile. But I thought to myself, wow, you can still, when there is a climate of hatred in this country at the moment for your ideology, for your religion, for where you come from and what you believe, and you can still smile at me in the supermarket. You can still be that relaxed. And as she came into the supermarket, I was getting trolleys to go in and buy my food, and I made sure that I gave her one as she came through the door, at which she gave me another smile and went about her way. Well, what is so important about that? Well, that is how my dream, how I believe that we should live. Do we not want to live in a peaceful world? Well, if you take things by violence, you have to hold things by violence. Now, that doesn't mean, again, I said realistic. And I think it is realistic to act in these situations with kindness and charm and be friendly and open and welcome people into the community. Whether or not I agree with somebody's ideology or religion or stance on any sort of socio-political viewpoint, it is my belief that I need to convince the individual of my position, or I have done nothing. I cannot sweepingly change huge tracts of people. I cannot just go into another country and start preaching what I believe. But if I encounter you as an individual, I can give you so much kindness and so much consideration that hopefully that will mean that you must consider my viewpoint. And hopefully you will consider my dream that I want to live in a kind and peaceful and progressive world that allows everybody to have their dreams in the short, medium and long terms. As I said, you've got to be realistic. You have to be willing to fight for what you believe in. And fighting does not necessarily mean the physical action of fighting. It can very well mean the action of being aware, being knowledgeable, paying attention to what's going on locally, what's going on globally, and being able to intelligently enunciate what it is your beliefs are and why. This is a realistic way of fighting back. However, coming to that, I don't want to live in a world where you may have to take a life to save the life of your own. However, if somebody was to break into my house and threaten the lives of my family or myself, and the only option was to take a life, I would do it without hesitation. That's realistic, but I don't want to do that. I want to live in a different world, and I will live every single day to ensure that that world is as possible as I can make it. I will not live in fear and I will not live in hatred, because I want to live in a different type of world. And I may sound emphatic right now, I may sound intense right now. Well, I want to live in an emphatic and intense world as well. But that doesn't mean that I want anyone to not believe that they have the opportunity to live, thrive and survive for themselves, their friends, their family, their community, because of the rest of the world. At the moment, that does not exist everywhere. It may not exist for some anywhere, but that's still the world I believe we should all be fighting peacefully, if possible, to create for all of us. It's a big dream and it's probably impossible, but impossible dreams come true. There was a time when we never thought we'd fly. And, well. So, you want to act and treat people in the perfect vision of the way you want the world to be. The perfect vision. You need to be that vehicle for change, or that vehicle for progression so that we can head towards the world that we want to create. Now, you cannot change the world. You individually cannot change the world, but you might be able to change yourself. And if you can change yourself, that change may influence somebody else to be able to change. That may influence somebody else to light the path for another person. And you get, hopefully, a butterfly effect. And even if you don't enable somebody else to change, the growth that will happen in you by being kind and thoughtful and educated and aware will mean that each day you are able to grow. And that dream is a beautiful one for the individual and for the greater good. And the greater good is something, as social creatures, as people that rely on other people, it's absolutely critical that we understand that the greater good is to the benefit of ourselves as well as everyone else. We have a right to life. We have a right to freedom. We have a right to health. We have a right to education. And this is the right that all individuals should have, and something that we should all believe in, because if we do that, again, we add to the greater good. So, know your neighbour, the person next to you, that you avert your eyes when you happen to catch each other, when you're both going to the mailbox. That's ridiculous. Know your neighbour, know their names, know who they are, know where they work. Know everybody on your street. Know these people. Take the time to get to know them so that you can have at least the minimum contact of a smile and a wave, and people would feel confident that should they be in trouble, they can send their children, they can come themselves, they can bang on your door, and they can ask you to call 911 at the very, very least, or whatever your emergency number happens to be around the globe. Know your country. Know what your country is doing. Know the different parts of your country. Know what the trends are for different opinions in your country, so that you can speak intelligently on the topics, so that when you want to get your point across, you don't sound like your knowledge is an inch deep but a mile wide. But there's no substance. There's no depth to it. Know your topics. Know your geography. Know where you are in the world. Know where you are in your country. Know where your country stands with other countries. Know what countries border you. Know their flags. Know who their president or prime minister is. Know their leaders. Know what's going on in the world. Know what the rest of the world's opinion of you is. The United States can be horribly xenophobic and insular and not believe that anything that is believed in the rest of the world matters. Our GDP here in the United States doesn't add up to a drop in the bucket if you add up the whole rest of the world. We need to be aware, and it is not good enough to say, oh, we're the greatest country in the history of the world. No, America, you're not. You're just another country. And at this time in history, you happen to be in this place. Give it 50 years. We'll see what happens. And that's where we come back to history and know your history. Know why we are here. Know what has happened in the last 100 years, in the last 200 years, in the last 300 years. Look at maps of Europe and how it has been cleaved up and cut up and countries have been changed. Know how much the United States took in the United States-Mexico War from Mexico. Know why people are displaced, why people feel angry at where they are. Know what happened during the slave trading years and how the African American community became so big in this country. Have respect for where people came from and how we got here. That's the only way that we can look forward. And I'm not a big person on saying, well, what happened 8 generations ago, we should stand around and feel sorry for you for. No, I'm not a big person in that. I don't actually, the injuries that were done to my father, my 2 grandfathers that fought in World War II, they are not injuries done to me. My life is my own, and I don't look for reparations for what has been done to my life. But we should know our history, and we should know where people came from, not just ourselves. I believe in my dreams. I believe in my dreams for the long-term growth of this world. And they are somewhat impossible dreams if you look at what's going on environmentally, if you look what's going on socio-politically around the world. Just yesterday I was reading that North Korea is about to do testing on an intercontinental ballistic missile that is potentially very scary, as they have said that they want to turn the major cities of the United States into seas of fire. There is poverty and famine and major medical issues going on in Africa, not to mention some of the economic problems that are happening in some countries in South America, and there are still dictatorships and very scary leaders all over the world. So why would I have faith? Well, I have faith because I can make a difference. And if I can change my mind, and if I can walk in and see somebody with an absolutely opposite ideology and welcome them and take the opportunity to then engage them in discourse, in conversation, try and change their opinions. How many people's opinions am I going to change? Probably very few. But that's not the issue. The fact is that if you don't try, if you don't dream, if you give up on your dreams, you will never ever succeed. And that is the absolute truth. You will just go through and just be another one of those people that didn't try. And those, there are truckloads. There are countries full. There is a planet full of those who are forgotten because they never gave. Don't be one of those. Be somebody that does actively take a role in your world, in your own life, change for the better, and you have to work at it every single day. You've got to do the work to change. I cannot go on about that enough. I can't emphasize it enough. If you don't do the work, you can have the ideology, you can know the idea. If you don't do the work, you will not change. There's times where you're going to have your hands just clenched into fists and you're going to be so angry at something. And you need to stop. You need to pause. You need to think. And you need to act the way that you know you should to create a positive situation. Instead of just being another fuckhead who doesn't add, just feels that their right is to feel negatively about it, and so they can act in whatever way they want. That is not thoughtful. That is not intelligent. Be intelligent. Think before you act. Does this make you uncomfortable? Does this talk make you uncomfortable? Well, often people want to talk about health. They want to talk about the bees. They want to talk about politics. And a lot of people say, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. That makes me uncomfortable. Well, people are struggling and dying in this world every single minute. They're out there just every single minute, don't know where their next meal is going to come from, don't know if they're going to survive the illness that is surrounding them and their community. They don't know if some dictator or some militia, is going to come into their community and take people, kill people, hurt them. They are struggling with that every single day. We are at an extinction event level of loss of life around this planet in the sea and on land. We are losing animals left, right and center. We are losing habitat left, right and center, and we need the trees to breathe. We need the animals to feed. We need the diversity to be able to keep our planet running. And if that makes you uncomfortable, then you need to be uncomfortable. Dreams are uncomfortable. They are sometimes going to keep you up at night because you don't feel like you're ever going to get there. You don't feel like they are actually really possible. So get uncomfortable. Be aware of what's going on. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on this world. Don't give up. Keeping your dreams alive means that sometimes they're going to roll around in the back of your head. And that means, yes, you're going to be uncomfortable, but you never know when you're going to get a chance for those dreams to come to fruition. So keep them alive. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, it might be 50 years. It might be on your deathbed where you say that amazing thing that changes the vision of the people around you. You never know. Keep your dreams alive and live in the perfect vision of the perfect world, and maybe we'll have a chance of getting there. All right. Believe in yourself. I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in all of you. We can all be the perfect representation of ourselves, or as close to, and we can all make this a peaceful, wise, progressive, great planet for every single creature on it to live. Thank you for listening. I'm the Silverback, and I'll catch you next time.